Okay. Research also indicates that trends in the economy helps to forecast and project which avenues in the economy are ripe for startups and which areas that startups should avoid. In other words, if you look at how the economy is doing, the issue of inflation, deflation, unemployment, employment, issue of contractionary policies from the Central Bank of Ghana, expansionary policies, and so on and so forth. And you analyze it comprehensively, most entrepreneurs are able to decipher which areas are ripe for startups and which areas they should avoid. And so that is how economic forces, as far as the trends are concerned, can also be capitalized on to set up a business. And typical examples that were successful in that regard was that of iCrack. In fact, I'll give you the case study on iCrack for you to familiarize yourself with it. It is very, very interesting. Just for you to read for now. Later on, we will know what to do with the case study. Then the same also has to do with Gas Buddy, which is a company that was initiated to assist customers save money on their gas. Okay. Now, the third component of observing trends, which most entrepreneurs capitalize on as an avenue to start up their business, is by observing social forces or trends in our social ecology. Now, these social trends at any point in time alter how people and businesses behave. And they also set the priorities against which businesses must aspire to achieve.
Sir, please, we can't see your screen.
Oh, really? Sorry. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we can.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I was saying that when we talk about trends that has to do with social forces, we are basically referring to the degree to which changes in our social ecology can incentivize people to start business in one way or the other. A typical trend or issue that can be seen from our social forces or the social ecology is when a particular population is identified to be very much aging. So aging of a population. And if you look at your social demographics and realize that a chunk of your population is aging, that means the goods and services that you'll be providing to the general population should be calibrated in such a way that it will meet their demand. And you know how the aging population is always particular about satisfaction. You can't just be setting up businesses and putting it on story buildings. So there should be a designated place at the lower level where their needs and circumstances will be addressed. In the same vein, when it comes to the issue of gerontology, which has to do with aging, it means that a lot of sophistication must go into the thinking of products that will be targeting such population. The same issue can be said about increasing diversity at the workplace. And when we talk about diversity, we are basically referring to the degree to which the workforce of an organization or in a community of practice will be heterogeneous. To what degree is the workforce of a particular community of practice heterogeneous? Now, if you find yourself in an environment where the current workforce is predominantly a particular gender bias, then it means that it can incentivize people which champion gender equality agenda to be setting up their own NGOs. So in that regard, we are looking at people that are setting up non-profit entities to be championing some of these things. Okay, so basically these are some of the ways the social forces can incentivize people to go into entrepreneurship. Then the issue of technology. That one, the scenarios are plenty. There are so many scenarios around us now, which all boils to the fact that at some point in time, technology was advancing at a pace where the current crop of innovation we had could not contain it. And so there was the need for new enterprises to emerge. I don't know about your ages, but when I was growing up, digital photography, for instance, is something that was not that common. But I speak with you now. Any program you attend, there is the possibility for you to take an instant photograph, for you to get your photograph there, then you will take it away after paying some peanuts to the photographer. The same thing can be said about the internet. Right now, people even have their own establishments on Facebook, and they are running it smoothly as if they are actually in an in-house establishment. So basically, those are the ways technological advances or trends can also inform the formulation of an enterprise. There is also this case on H2O. H2O Audio, I don't know if you've heard about that enterprise. Now, H2O is also a company that was started up by a group of people when they were at the university level. And basically, they are people that have passion for swimming. But they realize that anytime they go to the swimming pool to swim, they are not able to make good use of their iPods, their iPhones, and all those Apple or Android products. So they took it upon themselves to develop products, or if you like, to develop housings that can actually be used whilst you are swimming. So for instance, if you want to use your iPod whilst you are swimming, they were able to come up with a product like that. And if you want to use your iPhone to swim and also video some of the proceedings beneath the pool, then they came out with a gadget that could do that in a form of housing. Now, in their own small way, they expanded it gradually until it got to a point where they could commercialize the idea and sell it to iPhone users who also want to use it the same way they were intended to do. And so that gave birth to the H2O Audio. And I hope you all know H2O stands for water. So H2O Audio is basically a company that currently produces peripherals or products that can be used in addition to phones, iPods, and all those technological gadgets, so that when it falls into the water, you will not destroy it. So that is a way technology can be used to advance or even create new products in the business market. So all these four issues that I mentioned, the political, the social forces, the technological forces, and the economic, they fall under what we call the observing trends around you. So when we say you are observing trends, you are observing trends in the limit sense of it, within the political landscape, within the economic landscape, within the social demographic landscape, and also within the technological landscape. And I'm sure if I give you the opportunity, some of you might be even in a good position to demonstrate how the trends in, for instance, religiosity has now given birth to several other startups. Trends in the marriage and family circles have also given birth to other startups. Now, the second approach, which entrepreneurs sometimes use to identify an opportunity and eventually turn it into a business idea, is by solving a problem they face. This indicates that entrepreneurs are fighters and they are people that do not run away when problems start surfacing. Sometimes identifying opportunities simply involves noticing a problem and finding a way to solve it. And most of you mentioned it initially when I asked you about what opportunities are. And some of these problems can be easily noticed through the trend observation process. And sometimes so it could be out of intuition or your own attention to details or a change which is occurring around you. And so it will not be out of place to say that many of the companies that started in the recent past made use of problem solving. And typical example is the iCracked example I was citing, which I'll give you the case study later for you to familiarize yourself with. And please, I'll beg you, when I give you the case study, read through and understand it. It is very, very interesting, especially the storyline behind the inspiration for the iCrack startup. Now, the third approach to finding, the third approach to starting up or identifying an opportunity in the business environment is what we call gap spotting. And please, in exams, don't write spot gapping for me. The thing is gap spotting. You are trying to find a gap. When you say spot gapping, it's totally a different thing. So please take note of it. Gap spotting or finding a gap in the marketplace. Now, this approach basically has to do with the extent to which the individual scans their business environment, identify the ideas or opportunities that are currently existing and being used by other business enterprises, and the avenues which are untapped, the green areas which haven't been capitalized on at the moment. Once you are successful in scanning the environment and identifying these spots, then we say you are finding gaps in the marketplace. You are finding what? Gaps in the marketplace. And oftentimes, the marketplace is created when a product or a service is needed by a specific group of people, but doesn't represent a large enough market to be of interest to the mainstream retailers or manufacturers. What I'm trying to say is that when you scan the business environment, it is possible that you will see most of the mainstream organizations pursuing certain product lines or services, but there might be some untapped areas which comes across as not much interesting to them. However, there are end users or people who actually need those areas to be developed. And so once you go through this process, we say you are trying to spot gap. Now, research also indicates that there are certain personal characteristics which distinguishes entrepreneurs from non-entrepreneurs. In other words, if you do a quick survey of all entrepreneurs across the globe and you try to understand or identify certain commonalities in their characteristics, which assisted them to identify opportunities in their business environment. These 4 attributes stand out. The first one is what we call experience or prior experience. And this one is going back to the issue of nature arguments. If you quite remember last week, I was talking about nature versus nurture argument, where the nature has to do with biology and nature has to do with the environment. Research indicates that most entrepreneurs, due to the prior knowledge or experience or wealth of knowledge they command in their community of practice, whenever opportunities lend itself, they are able to identify it. And simply because of their rich experience background. So this presupposes that most entrepreneurs are very much keen and particular about the information in their business environments. They pay keen attention to it so that anytime there are opportunities sparking out of it, they will be able to identify it. And the identification is done simply because of their experience and familiarity with the terrain within which they are functioning. The second feature also has to do with their cognitive abilities or cognitive factors. And this traces to the nature or biology argument. Now, research indicates that entrepreneurs have a unique way of processing information in their environment to the extent that they are able to decipher the good opportunities out of the lot whenever they lend itself out, as compared to non-entrepreneurs. So if you compare the cognitive process, how information is cognitively assimilated and made use of, entrepreneurs are very much good in processing information in their business environments. And so whenever opportunities come up, they are able to capitalize, or whenever there is a need in the business environment, they are able to convert such a circumstance into a business venture. Then the third one also has to do with social networks. And basically, when you talk about a social network, we are referring to one's social capital. So the number of friends you keep, the number of acquaintances you have, and the number of people that you interact and intercommunicate with on a daily or sparingly basis. Now, research indicates that there are a lot of startups which came about as a result of the social network that the entrepreneurs had. And typical example is Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook. The iCrack phone repair company too is an example. The one I said I'll give it to you later on. You realize that at some point in time, all these individuals had specific people in their social network which incentivized or motivated them to nurture the entrepreneurial idea which they initially had. So social network also becomes imperative. Then the issue of creativity. Entrepreneurs have also been characterized as people who have beautiful mind, in the sense that sometimes they are able to look at things from a different perspective, which ordinarily a non-entrepreneur would take it for granted. So because of that ingenuity aspect of their fault finding, we say they tend to be what? Creative. Now, there is something that I want to add as far as the issue of networking is concerned. So when we talk about the cognitive factors, one key feature of entrepreneur is their see sense. And you all agree with me that humans, we have 5 main senses: sense of sight, sense of taste, sense for feeling, and then sense for what? Hearing. And what is the fifth one? So sight, feeling, taste, hearing, and smelling. Those are the 5 senses. Entrepreneurs are characterized to be people that possess a sixth sense. And this sixth sense allow them to see opportunities which non-entrepreneurs ordinarily will miss. And this sixth sense is what we caption as entrepreneurial alertness. So they pay attention to details in their business environment, and they do not take for granted opportunities when they lend themselves up. Good. So still on the social networks, research indicates that all of us at some point in time have some sort of networks, which could be strong or weak. And it is out of these social networks that sometimes our ideas can be. Please mute your microphones. Okay, so let's make progress. Good. So there is a strong argument ongoing now on whether, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Good. There is a strong ongoing argument on the degree to which the strength of your social network can help you to, first of all, get entrepreneurial ideas and then nurture it into a business. One side of this argument is that people that have stronger ties have the likelihood of getting ideas which can eventually be turned into a business venture. And another school of thought is also arguing that individuals with weaker ties, so with weaker ties, we are talking about acquaintance, where you don't frequently interact or intercommunicate with those in that social network. That continuum of the argument is saying that rather individuals with weaker ties have the chances of being exposed to entrepreneurial ideas, which can then be turned into a business venture. Which of these school of thoughts do you think is realistic? So my question is, do you think an individual with a stronger social network will rather get access to entrepreneurial ideas than an individual with a weaker social network, and why? Give me your responses, and then I'll also tell you what research is saying. Yes, Bismarck. Okay, Priscilla.
So I think it's true. People with a good social network, like ties around with people who have entrepreneurship skills, because they get interactive with their colleagues and friends, and see opportunities in conversations, ideas, shares, and stuff like that. But someone who doesn't have those kind of social network with people wouldn't have those kind of informations available to them, because some ideas and opportunities are created through interactions. So I think it's they
a
are right to
strong
say
network.
that.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any other view? Bismarck.
Okay, sir. I somehow I agree with what Prince Laje said, because
Okay.
in a way, people with strong social network are able to find opportunities when they are interacting with other people, because sometimes some of the opportunities comes when conservation is going on, and sometimes too the opportunity comes when you just pay attention, you are just observing the environment. So in a
Okay.
way, I'll go with people with a strong social network getting good opportunity earlier. But on the other hand, to people with weak social network also find opportunity easy, because those people, whenever they go out, they try to pay attention to every detail, like or things around them, even without communicating with colleagues or the people around them, but they just try to observe how things work. And sometimes by observation, they try to figure out that there's something wrong here, and they try to find a solution to it.
Okay.
Thank
So
you,
you
sir.
are advancing an argument for both sides. Okay.
Yes, but the strong one is the
It will
good social.
supersede the weak one.
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Yes, Jay, go on.
All right, sir. So I think my colleague just spoke my mind. Virtually, there are two things. Just as Priscilla said, once you have a good social network, it means that you interact a lot, be in whichever mode you use. So that way you are able to easily chance on opportunities and get to find out ways or again opportunities where you can actually capitalize on. But to say that somebody has a weak social network, it's a bit dicey. In that I could be somebody who is an introvert. However, I do a lot of research, etc. online. Maybe I like being online. I like doing a lot of reading and all that. So it will be easy for me to actually find out, okay, maybe in this sector or in this neighborhood or in this industry, these are the opportunities that could be available. So in both facets, it depends on you. And again, last week, we spoke again about if entrepreneurship was let's say it's a natural thing, God-given or acquired.
Okay.
So in both facets, it depends on the individual and how this talent is actually harnessed or employed. So both ways, yes, I think that both ways are strong enough.
All right, thank you very much. Mensa, Gosway.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Please, do you want to make a contribution?
No, please, it was a mistake.
All right, good. Now, so in the face of it, I would have also advanced the same argument Priscilla made, that ideally an individual with a stronger social ties or a social network will be continually interacting and intercommunicating with the ties in the social network. And for that matter, whenever an idea comes up, they can easily capitalize on it. But research is saying the reverse. Research is actually talking about the weaker network rather having the proclivity to identify an entrepreneurial idea or opportunity whenever they go into such environments. Can you still see my screen? Hello?
Yes, Yeah, we can see it.
Can
Yes,
you see
sir.
my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now it's gone.
It's gone.
Gone.
Really? Okay, just a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Mark.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
Uh-huh. Now, research is saying that it is more likely that an entrepreneur will get a new business idea through a weak tie rather than a strong tie. And let me add a caveat here. I am not saying this. This is a result of a longitudinal research that has been replicated across the globe. They are saying that when you interact with entrepreneurs and you ask them the nature of their social ties, they tend to tell you that it always comes out that who is giving us that feedback at the background? Alex, kindly mute. When you, their findings is that rather entrepreneurs with weaker ties are more likely to get new business ideas as compared to entrepreneurs with stronger ties. And this is the argument they advance. They are saying that individuals with strong ties or relationship are usually those individuals that engage in mundane activities. So they are already familiar with themselves. They know all the likes and dislikes of the people in the social network. And that does not reinforce their ability to pay details into some of the changes which is occurring around them. However, the individuals with weaker ties are construed to be the ones who pay attention to details, and anytime they enter any social network, they pay attention to what is happening over there because one, they are already not very much welcomed over there, and they are also not so much conversant over there. So they take their time to understand the rules and of engagement in that social network. And by doing so, they are able to identify some of the loopholes which can be capitalized on to become an entrepreneurial idea. That is what research is saying. So they are saying
So is that what research is saying?
Come again. Yes, that is what
research is saying.
Yes. So research is saying that when you take a sober look at strong tie relationships as compared to the weak ones, the strong ones are those kind of relationships which are usually formed between like-minded individuals. And don't forget, we always say like poles attract similar. Have you also heard about the similarity attraction phenomenon? The extent to which people you have a lot of similarities with, you tend to be attracted towards. So because of that notion, they tend to reinforce the areas where they have much commonalities or similarities without paying attention to the areas where their differences are. But if you look at the ones with weak tie relationship, those are the relations that usually subsist between casual or acquaintances. And they are not as apt to be between like-minded individuals. In other words, weaker relationships are usually formed among people that share smaller similarities. Okay, and it is because of the lower amount of commonality or similarity, that is why the relationship is weaker. And for that matter, anytime they come closer to each other, they pay attention to details and they zero in on their differences more. And in doing so, by problematizing their relationship, they are able to identify some of these ideas which can be turned into an opportunity. So that is what research is saying. Do you agree with what research is saying?
Yes,
Not
sir.
at all.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey,
Sir,
are you saying yes
True. That
because
is true. Yes.
sir,
wait, I'm
Oh,
coming
sir,
up.
no, me, I don't agree.
Okay, good. So those
okay.
who are saying yes, and why do you think it is true? Yeah, Jay, go on.
Yes. No. Yes. So again, back to what I said earlier. I agree because I mean, let's take just normal friendships or relations, even in our various homes.
Yeah.
Let's say that you are somebody who does not really get along with maybe some group of people in your class, right? So because you do not really get along with them, once you find yourself around them, you are overly very sensitive and very aware of everything that goes along. So you pay attention to detail, everything along. So that way you are able to capitalize on the not so good opportunities or the opportunities that need you taking advantage of. And that's virtually what it is.
Okay.
When it comes to, I mean, entrepreneurship as well.
Good. Thank you very much. And let me take one more. The one who said she does not agree.
So probably that would be me. So I
Okay.
agree with the fact that the observation from research may be true. I also believe that some interactions create opportunities for people to also tap on those ones and become entrepreneurs or make you have entrepreneurial skills. Because let's assume a couple of friends are meeting and they consistently visit like they consistently go out to eat most often than not, like maybe there's no food around and stuff like that.
Okay.
So they notice that there is no food around where we are going. We normally go out to eat. So it's maybe they just created an opportunity for me to ponder on the fact that there's no food around here. I could create a food joint around here and make some money. So in a way, I have gotten an idea to create a food joint at this place to create, like, to get money, but it's as a result of the conversation that let's go out and eat consistently that those ideas pop to my mind that if I create this venture here, I'll get some sort of profit from it. So that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Conversation can create.
Please, it will be going on very soon. So try and rejoin, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Sir.
Yes.
Can I
Bismarck, go on.
Bismarck.
This
Yes.
is Jay.
Okay, so okay, sir, please, I agree with the weaker tie because one thing I realize is that people with weak tie